It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene.
Sounds holly jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
6 to be exact, selected and arranged for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out for a holiday cheer.
What? Rohit, I think you might want to reread that last part.
Well, you just ended out at go OU, so that yeah, I think you cut off at the beginning in the chat.
Ah,
That's why it was.
yep. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulty. Yeah, let me read the last part again. There's a silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman as we engage in some seasonal shenanigans. That's right. And tonight, folks, as you probably guessed it, we're talking Merry Little Batman.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is, a lot of anticipation for this one. For me, yeah, great, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, we there's a lot of anticipation getting to Merry Little Batman, especially after all the how Warner Brothers has been running things lately. And this is kind of like a first, first time we've had like a Batman project that has technically not been released under the Warner Brothers umbrella. And yeah, it's with this special, which I did not know how to feel about when it was announced, and now it's here, and now we're here to talk about it. Basically, the week of its premiere. So, Red, how did you feel about Merry Little Batman overall?
I didn't know much what to make of it. I just kind of saw the initial trailer. It's like, oh, okay. I thought it would be just like a very small, like Christmas, but with Batman sort of a deal. And it's like, oh, the Damien's involved, and okay, like we'll see how things play out. Um, from from starting the movie to ending it, I was really pleasantly surprised on how much I really liked it. It has a lot of heart. It's very much in the spirit of Christmas. It very much takes seriously the Batman mythos and does a lot of good resonant stuff with both Bruce and Damien's relationship. The Batman villains, they're that are there in this picture or this in this movie, uh, are fun. They have a lot of charm. I think for the animation design, people being turned off. But I think just after watching the movie, it really kind of just worked for me. For me, it felt like if you kind of see like those very unique children's books that have this kind of similar art style, but just have it be like fully in motion and all that stuff, and for the holidays and all that, it kind of just fit. So I didn't really kind of have like a mental block or anything that kind of ruined the experience. But in watching this movie, I think the standouts was Luke Wilson as Batman. Uh, the way he played this overbearing father figure to Damien's character and the relationship between Damien, even Damien was just really entertaining. Alfred was great. I think it's really like a fun movie that I think for any Batman fan of any age, of any like level of depth, whether in the comics, movies, TVs, I think you could enjoy this. And surprisingly, even though it's a Christmas movie, I think this is a really good movie to watch even on Father's Day, especially in light of the big emphasis on the father and son relationship between Bruce and Damien.
Yeah. So for me, here's the thing. I Look, I think it's great to do holiday stuff with Batman. Since I mean, ever since you can go back to I think honestly Burton really cracked the code on it way back when with Batman Returns, where it Burton adding the gothic component in live action coupled with Christmas with the snowfall and everything, and just kind of Batman against the Christmas backdrop. I mean, 30 years later, I mean, Burton's made quite the meal off of that with Nightmare Before Christmas. But it's just kind of a thing where you like kind of like a gothic sort of like kind of visage against Christmas. It just kind of works. I don't know if that's because like the whole Dickensian kind of like Christmas Carol thing or not, but it just kind of works. And with Batman, I think it pairs well because honestly, what I really like about it is I like seeing Batman reflective around the holidays. I think that sort of thing's great, even if it's kind of like a little bit of an undercurrent there, um, which I think it leads to like a desire for Christmas stuff with Batman, which rarely we get. Like again, like obviously one of the earliest episodes of Batman animated series, it's Christmas with the Joker, and when we have like a little bit of Batman Brave and the Bold, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and of course our comic stuff with Batman at Christmas time. It's there's a lot of stuff that comes from it. Now that said, this I find this first of all I did not know this was going to be a feature length film. I thought it was going to be a short. It was going to be like 30 minutes. I had no idea it was going to be, like a full 90 minutes, which already I found was a little impressive. But all that said, I find this to be kind of a cute and simplified example of what I just laid out, what I really like when we get into with Batman around the holidays. The movie itself, I'm mixed on, but not in a negative way. I'm mixed on that I appreciate it, but it's kind of a tightrope walk of quality production and a little bit from the writer there, a little bit of Teen Titans Go, a little bit. It doesn't go there, but I think I'm aware that we're on a tightrope walk with it, and I think most of that stems from kind of what Richard's victim said earlier. I visually still don't love how this movie looks in terms of the character designs and everything. And in retrospect, after seeing the movie, I kind of noodle on like, should we have gone a little vaguer with things? Should we have gone a little shorter with things? Like, should we have like not specifically gone with like a I mean, I like the father son component, but we're kind of going off the reservation on some things, but it also feeds in that overall idea with Batman that there's many ways you can interpret the character, so it doesn't always have to be the same thing or something super accurate. So, I mean, I like factoring that in. It's like I like where this is coming from. I really do. I think there are a lot of fun moments in this, and overall, again, it's another spoke in the wheel of how we can adapt Batman in a way we haven't really seen before, which I think this does really bring to the forefront. I just don't really know how I feel about it, because again, it's like it's good, but I just visually can't glom onto it. I just something's kind of like it's a thing to get used to. Which I mean, but as the movie goes on, I get used to the look, and I think the story at its heart is good. I don't know. It's a lot to process for me on this one. I don't know, but I mean, it's a fun holiday thing with Batman, which I'm not opposed to doing. It just feels like we put a lot of effort into something that's like really did we really commit to this art style that hard really?
I mean, I think the art style makes sense because this art style I would see in like very specific, in certain children's books.
Mm-hmm.
Considering this movie is very, oriented towards kids, and like Damien's sort of the main point of view character for most of the film. I think it makes sense to kind of have that art style, have that little like overly cartoony style, And for me, I think it's, I think maybe it's not the most visually dynamic or my preferred animation style, but I think for what the story was, and
It does complement the story. I'll give it that. It just
yeah,
feels I don't know. It's.
and I think for what it is, it's like it I think the animation being kind of really overly cartoony, it lends to having the story be a little bit more on the comedic end, which I don't mind because Batman can be comedic, with the '60s show, with the Brave and the Bold, and the thing is, for any sort of Batman adaptation outside of, from the outside of the comics, it's always going to take certain liberties. Even some of our favorite interpretations, adaptations of Batman, like take significant creative liberties from the comics. Uh,
Right.
so for this, I think for the liberties that it took, I think it works in service. For me, if you're taking creative liberties, so long as it services the story that you're wanting to tell, and I'm invested in whatever version you have or spin you have of this character, then you succeed on that front. And I think for this part, I think for the most part, it succeeded in making Damien an interest like a likable, sympathetic character. And Bruce, Luke Wilson's Batman, I think was really funny, really endearing. And there's certain lines I just laugh out loud, and I was like, oh, this is actually fun. This is actually fun writing.
Oh, so are you trying to mute your dead father?
No, my favorite's like, oh, get the twins over. And it's like they're not talking. Well, how about have them combine their powers and transform to emotionally mature adults?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's see. A little bit of background, it's a little Scotia background before we get back into things here. So, yeah, so this starts apparently from what I understand, the studio pitched this to Mike Roth, who was the guy behind the regular show. Which I never really watched the regular. I saw a little bit of the regular show. I didn't really watch it. But I can kind of see a little bit of that sensibility in kind of the humor and the timing on certain gags. So there's definitely a little bit of it there. Basically, they pitched him like, "Hey, Mike, you want to do kind of a holiday Batman film in the art style of Ronald Searle?" Now, Ronald Searle, for the kids out there, Ronald Searle is a very famous old school cartoonist. Mainly, he did Life magazine. This thing had a lot of impact over the years. You know, it did like basically satirical New Yorker esque comics, not full on New Yorker. I don't know if he did anything for the New Yorker. I don't think he did, but um, yeah, essentially, this guy, like, you can kind of see his influences in a lot of other animated things. The two big things that's kind of highlighted 101 Dalmatians. Like, the bad guys in 101 Dalmatians definitely have kind of a serial kind of design to them. You can kind of see that here,
Mm-hmm.
especially with like kind of our kind of our bungling burglars in this one, and early Simpsons designs, kind of a little bit of a serial in that as well. Anyway, so they pitch him on the idea. He goes for it, and we have Morgan Evans doing the writing on this. Morgan Evans is probably most well known for doing Teen Titans Go, which already is like, oh boy, we're on some shaky ground there. But
I
anyway,
and just I will say the Teen Titans Go to the movies is one of the best DC movies. It's absolutely hilarious.
anyway, so I when they in the writing process, Evans here he went with Damien. I'm sorry, I'm being interrupted by our co-host who is not here today, so I'm a little distracted right now. Sorry. Okay, being back on point here. So they wanted to go for the whole father son component of the story, and they did consider like, okay, we should probably age Damien down because if we play Damien the way we usually do, I don't think he would be. They didn't think he was going to be like the usual hero worshipy kind of. They wanted more of a hero worship, son trying to become the father, which clearly Damien usually is not really aiming to do. So that's why we aged the kid down for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. So also, yes, earlier Jacob in the comments, Jacob pointed out is this is a lead-in for a supposed series, right? Yes, that's the idea behind this. Apparently, they're working on a show, and this kind of gets to the whole release thing where originally this was like this, and I guess that show and a few other Batman projects like Batman Cape Crusader were greenlit and supposed to be go to the series, and I guess spin-off animated movie, or I guess pilot animated movie in this case, for a number of projects at Warner Brothers. Warner Bros. Animation, essentially, in the whole Zaslav of it all, he said, "No, we don't need any new Batman animated thing, so we're gonna let Amazon have it," and that's essentially what happened here. So MGM, like we have the MGM logo instead of the Warner Brothers logo, which is very weird. And I guess in the chronology of things here, you'll notice that we went out of our way to avoid Catwoman and Talia, which I expect to be kind of a logistical follow up kind of nightmare of like, wait a minute, if we're gonna, if there's a Catwoman, there's a Talia. Where are they going to fit in this story? Like, we don't really have time to work in Talia and Catwoman, or really get into the logistics of how that works. Is there a Robin in this world? Like, how does any of this work until we get to that Bat Family show, which essentially is what the spinoff show is going to be. So that's kind of what happened there. The animation on this was done by Gigglebug and Doghead Animation Studios, which is a studio in Italy. I don't know anything about. I couldn't find anything on Gigglebug, but Doghead, they are based in Italy. I forget, one of the studios did the whole woodcut sequence in this, like the black and white kind of nightmare sequence. Well, not nightmare sequence, the black and white kind of like kind of like scary sequence in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect it's Doghead, but I don't know. I think Gigglebug probably did the majority of the animation for this, but anyway, because I think they specialize in 2D. I don't know. All right. Yeah, let's just let's just get into it. Where would you like to start, really?
I think from just the beginning, I think the way Damian Wayne is introduced in this and how he's characterized from the start is really funny. I think like obviously it's not the exact not an exact characterization of how Damian is in the comics starting out, but I think for what this movie is, I think very immediately you kind of endear yourself to this kid. He's very eager, he's very rambunctious. He loves the idea of being Batman and like, hanging out with his dad and all that stuff. And just the hijinks he gets into at the start. Like it's very much like if were like 6 or 7 years old, like you would immediately be sold on this movie. Just the way Damian Wayne is characterized, because he's basically the audience surrogate for every kid who's into Batman.
Yeah, and that gives him this interesting dilemma of like, we have like it's Damien boiled down to the essential. Okay, so Batman has it's a biological child. I'm sorry, the best way to phrase it's a running gag with Star Wars. I guess the best way to re-engineer that is, you know, Bruce Wayne is Damien's biological father. Versus the usual Robin, in which Bruce Wayne is his non-biological father. But yeah, so that's the interesting thing where you kind of boil it down to, okay, so Batman actually has a son, and traditionally Damien, his end goal is to become Batman, which we kind of see him like Grant Morrison kind of stuff in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But he's characterized. We characterize him in a way in which there is an undercurrent of he has a really destructive way about him, which kind of hints at Damian Wayne, if at all. But again, he's really lighthearted though. He's had seemingly have a very different upbringing. That brings us to the whole thing of like, I don't know how much of this is maybe an issue of we don't have that Bat Family show yet to really get a feel for our status quo here, or if it's just we're just kind of being thrown into it, which I don't mind being thrown into it. By the same token, it does raise a few questions like how does Talia fit into all this? And just our setup here is real. Here's the thing. I think our setup's really interesting in that it's kind of like what we did a little bit of. Like I like it when we do things like this in the Lego Batman movie, where we take Batman's 80+ year history,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of re-engineered, and we kind of like we kind of like folded in almost origami in different ways in kind of a different context. Looking back on now that we have like so many pieces and iterations, we can kind of like apply a different like sensibility looking back at it. So we have like this movie in premise is there's a huge nod to Dark Knight Returns, a little bit of Dark Knight. Well, sorry, it's Dark Knight Rises, mainly Dark Knight Rises, a little bit of Dark Knight Returns, depending how you want to look at it. Where essentially it's 8 years, Batman has cleaned up all crime in Gotham, fatherhood and family motivating him to do so.
And weirdly enough, it's kind of mirrors what happened with Michael Keaton's Batman in the Flash, where like in his Gotham City, like there has been crime for a while.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So you have that, which already is kind of interesting, and there's a really sweet kernel of an idea there that we get into later on, like during the zoo and everything, where it said, Batman is offered. Seemingly, again, reasons we don't know exactly how this lines up, but essentially Batman's offered a chance to get the family that he lost, like in a real sense.
Mm-hmm.
and that's really interesting. That gives him the motive to like kind of put it all behind him and kind of be happy for a change and kind of leave Batman behind. So it's like a happy retirement versus a really depressing retirement, like in Dark Knight Returns.
And then beyond.
Of course. So that's interesting. But by the same token, though, there is also that thing eating away at you. Like, okay, so we have the whole we end on the gag of like Jingle Bells Batman Smells, which mentions Robin in the song, and yet the way this world kind of establishes itself to me until that point is that okay, there is no Bat family really in this world. It's just Bruce, Alfred, and Damian, and I guess Talia, but we don't see her in the movie. That's the suggestion to me. Now, my assumption, based on that song, is if we do a Bat family, it's probably going to be there was Dick Grayson, he grew up to be Nightwing, but there's no Robin. There's no current Robin in this universe. That's my guess. But a lot of this is kind of like guesswork, and I can only it's guesswork based on like literally we get lyrics of a song. Otherwise, there's probably no Robin.
I think this is the thing where, as fans, when references are made, like I think was nothing more than a reference. I think don't think we need to read too much into it.
Mm.
However, if you're to read into it, as if you're wanting to venture into that realm, it is probably likely that one or two Robins may have been around for Bruce, and then afterwards he hasn't had a Robin, and all the like kids early on in his career have grown up and just off went out to do their own thing. So anything with Damien coming around, Batman's kind of maybe maybe if in my head canon, I would assume this Bruce maybe just taking stock and it's like, hey, this is my like biological son. All my other surrogate children have went off and on their own. Maybe this opportunity for me to like move on from Batman and just be Bruce Wayne, which is basically the status quo of this movie.
Well, here's the thing. The main hesitation I have with this is that there's no way we can. And again, I'm sure it's like probably the intent of the show and everything. However, they're not calling the show Little Batman. It's the fact that we can't downgrade Damian to Robin. We can't do that after this. He's got to be in that. He's got to be a Little Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, it's not going to make any sense. Why would he settle for Ryan? Who calls himself a sidekick? So how can we get away with that? It would make no sense.
Is the Bat Family show supposed to be in the same continuity? I figure it could be the case where it reuses the same character designs and talent, but may not necessarily be like a straight up like sequel or next installment after Mary Little Batman. It's,
Well, honestly, I don't know, but it would. I think it was just like the logical assumption. Okay, Batman is back after retirement, and we'd probably check in on things because now he has a built-in family because he doesn't really have a family up to that point, until he has Damien. So I don't. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think they've. I don't think they. I'm pretty sure they haven't revealed those details yet, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Could be wrong. Anyway, so it's it's nice, the core heart of the film is about the importance of family to Batman via his son. It's good. So that's the thing. So we have like overprotective dad Bruce, who is so again he's played by I'd say I do like Luke Wilson. I do. Particularly though, I think I prefer Luke Wilson in Stargirl. As Pat. I think he's great as that. Have you've seen the Stargirl show, right?
Yes, I've seen it.
It's great, right? Isn't it?
The first season is good, and then it
Sure.
falls off afterwards.
No, I know you're not wrong. But that first season, though, the first season's very solid.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so it's such a foreign idea seeing Bruce like this, but it's like an interesting what if though. Like he's giving his kid the childhood he didn't have, which I think is the sell for me on this version. I do think it's kind of funny that him with the beard and everything is a little reminiscent of the one of the Snyder Greg Capullo runs for Batman Super Heavy, in which Bruce Wayne essentially temporarily is retired as Batman, temporarily, let's say, and when he's kind of reset as kind of a more salt of the earth, non-rich Bruce Wayne, he's
With
looks like
flannel and a
with
beard.
flannel. Yeah, he's got flannel in the beard.
Mm-hmm. He's got like a nice pair of kicks in the movie. It was like, oh man, it's like it'd be funny if like Wayne Enterprises has like a shoe brand, the Air
Yeah.
Waynes.
So the conflict, as I said, like the conflict of the movie for me is again a little bit of the whole tightrope walk of the Teen Titans Go esque effect of okay, we're going we're going at a character on a lot of this, particularly with the Damian Wayne of it all here. It's a very off brand. We're very off brand for Damian Wayne, but given different circumstances that get us to this point, this would be believable. I mean, if Damian Wayne were like not seemingly, he's not raised by the League of Assassins. If that did not happen, this might happen. That I can buy.
I
But again, missing variables.
I kind of I would respectfully push back against the Teen Titans Go
Well, I said
characterization.
it's a tightrope walk. I don't think it's there. I don't think it's
Yeah,
quite like that.
but I don't know like where I don't even see the tightrope because all that I see is that like okay, this is obviously oriented towards children. You can't necessarily adapt fully like Damien's background. You kind of have to like mold them in a place that's appealable to children. But even then, like in the movie, there's an acknowledgement of like Bruce. Bruce has lost his parents. Like there's certain sequences, especially the black and white sequences, would be finding for children for a child. So I think I know it's like yeah, he's lighthearted, but I don't think like in my mind, Damian Wayne in this movie is portrayed in like a parodic or a farcical way. I think he's just like, all right, he's obviously a kid, so you emphasize him being a very eager kid, and you can hint at sort of the Damian Wayne aspects with like the wanton violence, although unintentional in this case, not intentionally this part. And I think for Damian Wayne, I think what's consistent with this version and in the comics is that they both had a strong desire to be Batman because when you think about it, when Damian Wayne came into the picture in the comics, he didn't want to be Robin. He wanted to be straight up Batman. Whereas for Dick Grayson, he was the one that originally the Robin mantle. Jason Todd was kind of just put in the Robin role. When he's taken off the streets of Bruce. Tim Drake wanted to be Robin, and then Damian Wayne is the one that doesn't want to be Robin. He wants to be straight up a Batman. So I think with the way he's basically the little Batman, it makes kind of sense for his characterization in the comics.
Well, what I was getting at is that no, it's not. I say tightrope in the sense of like gone like a tenth of a degree another way. I could see it going the way we kind of at least I and I guess a sect of people might disapprove of Teen Titans Go, in which we do something that they tell a story they want to tell, but they're putting in the guise of these characters in which there's really no connection to and all. Both for the reasons you said, that's why I can't say that it's really going in that direction. Thankfully, that there are inklings of like the character there, and you're right that he does want to be Batman like he does in the comic. And again, there are some destructive tendencies and capabilities. So that's what I'm saying. It's like there's an element of it there, but by the same token, there are like moments in this movie where I could see it like there's like fingerprints of that style there, but I'm glad we don't lean into it. Like, there's one gag in this that is essentially a Teen Titans Go gag, but it's just very brief and it doesn't help the art style issues I'm having, but like the whole like I broke every rib of my body. And he pulls up the shirt, and we have like like the horrifying painting of like the icky like underside of the shirt and everything.
I
That's a
mean,
Teen Titans Go gag, but we don't go that far. It's just one
isn't
moment.
that
We move
just a
on.
comedic version of like some iterations of Batman where you like he takes off his shirt and there's like just a bunch of scars on the back of his body?
Well,
That's
yeah.
not,
I'm sorry. What I'm getting at is I'm just saying stylistically, that's kind of like a timing and just an animation presentation. Like that's like fingerprints of Teen Titans Go. But again, we're not going in a direction where it's super distracting or like we're veering off or we're doing stuff. So I mean, I'm just saying that I can see the potential of them going in that direction with that in that writing style, but we don't do that, which I'm thankful for. But yeah, I don't know. It's hmm, cute. Anyway, so yes, onto the art style. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the Ronald Searle style. Some I think some designs work. For example, I think Batman in costume looks really good. I like the exaggerated chin and everything. I think the batsuit looks pretty good. However, Alfred's looking a little rough.
he looks very vulture like. That I definitely got that visual. I got that sort of that visual association, but I don't know. I think like the characters being in the style that they are, like I don't know. I guess for me, it's there's very few animated styles that like will just be too much for me where I would just not want to watch it. If anything, I kind of for me, I kind of prefer. Well, I don't know if I would go as far to say I prefer this over like the CG style art that was like in say Beware the Batman and whatnot. But I think for this, it's like it's very cartoony, it's very like sketchy, very stylized. So I think so long as the art style fits the story, even if you don't personally prefer said art style, I appreciate that for the creators behind this movie, they understood what story they wanted to tell and made sure that the visuals and overall aesthetic match with the tone and overall vibes of the story. So I appreciate that sort of harmony in that respect.
Hmm. All right. Let's see. Now, however, sorry, I guess I'm mentioning Alfred. Alfred was just kind of mentioned in the comments as well. James Cromwell, excellent casting on Alfred, and does a great job here. I love the famous Coco runner. I love Alfred. He's going to cheer the young man up. He makes his famous Coco, but wait a minute, Damien does a really naughty thing here. He makes the poor old man go out in the cold on Christmas Eve to get more marshmallows because he ate all the marshmallows just to get him out of the house. Like that's a little mean.
Wait, that's Damian Wayne being Damian Wayne.
I know exactly right.
Yeah,
it's on brand, but still. I mean, however, Damian Wayne does, as we see later on here and in general, like Damian Wayne does. Yeah, everyone loves Alfred, okay, and that's the thing. As we've kind of said here, there's never really been a bad Alfred because the character is kind of that strong and that resilient.
yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that like when Damien ate all those marshmallows, he felt a little stuff and like he couldn't talk because he just felt so like because eating all that marshmallows. Because I remember like Alfred mentions in like a heart to heart with Damien Wayne, it's like like Master Bruce loved hot cocoa so much he did a full gallon and he had to put 2 more inches onto the bat suit.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been really funny for Damien to like barely struggle to like move because like that amount of marshmallows just like freaking that's a lot to like eat and just not like have like a bit of a mini food coma.
Well, you saw him eat like that. This is like a gross out
Oh,
gag. I don't
that
think.
yeah.
Here's
The
a gross out gag. Yeah.
okay, okay. I mean, I guess maybe I'm just kind of like more open to the kind of humor this movie goes for, but man, I could see some people be well. I don't know. I feel like Damian Wayne's a kid, and so it's pretty natural for kids to have really unorthodox and out there confections of food or food culinary creations.
Yeah, here's the thing. It feels like we are hitting some certain like Christmas traditions in this movie in the plot. Like, we have a Home Alone section of this film, and it feels like okay, we're just gonna do like this. He's gonna concoct something, which I know this feels like I'm not saying it's like the worst thing ever, but it just feels like it's in there to fill a quota. It's a bit of a gross thing. Ugh, why would he was offered like really delicious cocoa, and he's going for this. It's like some chemical candy mixture he's putting in the mic. Why is he keep putting in the microwave? I can't just like do like the elf thing, like the thing Will Ferrell did in Elf. I can't just like mix up all the.
He needs to turbocharge, Dragon. He needs to turbocharge
That's the thing. I don't get it. Why is he melting it?
because it's easier to consume.
Oh,
You got to shake it up. Just
the
drink
boy
like
ate like 2 giant bags of marshmallows. All right,
and
doesn't.
look at how the movie just bounces around like a freaking rocket. Like,
Yeah. Yes, you can microwave hot chocolate. This is not the same thing. He's melting
Dragon,
like whole
Dragon.
candy and ice cream and stuff.
Oh man, we should have something where if someone loses the debate, they had to have the concoction that Damien had in Married Little Batman as a punishment.
We don't we don't want to kill people, Rohit.
Hey, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
Hmm. Well, you deserved it. So,
Yeah, the haterade is strong with you, Dragon.
Yeah. So I tell you, here's a charm. We have a few. Speaking of like some of the food gags, like the congealed jelly eel thing. It's like I don't come on. Like, I don't think we needed that. I think the blood sausage was enough. Even like the weird gelatinous eel thing. I don't even think, is that a real English dish? You think, is that like a real thing? I mean, it sounds like it would have to be, right?
Yeah, jellied eels is the thing.
It's a doesn't really look like that, does it?
No, it's just kind of more like kind of looks more like a stew with like eel, like cut up eel parts in it.
Okay, I guess that's kind of accurate because it wasn't probably in green, but essentially it's cut up eel parts. So, all right.
It's not literally like a jelly, if that's yeah. It's
Well, no, I
basically
think that I'm sure that was just kind of cartoon logic there, but
yeah.
yeah, it's anyway. I seriously, here it was a really charming bit to the donut gag. Like, donut, tell anybody. They're doing it, and we have the runner of the fist bump. The fist bump with the
Yeah, that was so adorable for Bruce and Damien to have that
yeah,
little fist bump.
yeah. No sympathy, Jacob. Take the burns. So let's talk about the gift of the utility belt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very lovely gesture, symbol of the special. Well, I guess of the movie. I keep going special, but essentially a symbol of the movie. Um, I love that it is. He's treating Damien like a kid, despite this passing of the torch gesture, which is really which is really big. Like, hey, I'm giving you not only utility. This is my first utility, which actually does look like the one from '39, which is impressive. But now, of course, outfitted with all these very.
You mean 89?
I'm sorry, what?
You meant to say 89?
No, 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 not from 1939. Like the first one that he had in the original costume.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at it, it has like the circle and everything. It looks very similar to the one, the I guess in quotes Bob Kane version of the in quotes. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so it's being the first utility belt's a nice touch. It's a very meaningful gesture, and it's a symbol of like, hey, you're on your way to become. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I found it really touching. Like, yeah, you're gonna become like me being the gadget nut. Yes, right. Yeah, code yes, I agree. Yes, and that's why I said in quotes, Bill Finger, not Bob King, because Bob King was going to put him in the red, basically the red onesie with the blonde hair and the little domino mask.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I don't know who physically drew that version. That's why I can't really say Bill Finger drew that, but who knows? Definitely designed it. Definitely came up with the look. Regardless, yeah, so it's a meaningful gesture, and me being the gadget nut that I am is like, oh man, I would have loved that as a kid too, because back in the day they did, especially around '60s Batman, they did give out like these utility belts were a thing you could buy and kind of give to a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So just the idea of Batman outfitting with overprotective dad gear, like like the Bat emergency whistle and the band-aids, the Bat band-aids and everything, and the foam batarang. I love the foam batarang detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the long extended list of numbers to call for any sort of emergency.
Yep. Do I call Commissioner Gordon? No, no. He just passes the buck to me. Okay, so about the Commissioner Gordon slander in this film, we do. I think it's a reductive take on Commissioner Gordon.
I
We're not gonna.
mean, it's a take that's like that was in like what the '60s Batman show,
No, no, hey,
'89.
take that back. Okay, that is not '60s Batman. He was a lot more respectable in '60s Batman.
I mean, he would just converse with like Batman, but he would just. I mean, I'm not saying he was like intentionally. He was like outright incompetent, but it's not like he did
O'Hara
much.
was the incompetent one, and Batman secretly hated Chief O'Hara.
Okay, the '89. Okay, Burn Batman movies. Like he wasn't like super.
Honestly, look, Burn Batman compared to Schumacher Batman was an improvement. You're right. Schumacher Batman was down the toilet though, and so unfortunately, but still, I'm just saying, okay, look at I'm just saying we reduce the okay, just flips the switch. Does a little more than flip the switch, okay? A little more.
He drinks his coffee and it's like, get me Batman on the phone.
Like that's the Pat Hingle version that does that. No. I'm just saying, like a little. Like I'm not saying it's like I'm saying Lego Batman, like we was having, we make a really nice joke about it. Okay, so he hits the buttons, and he passes the job on to his daughter, who does a lot more with it. That's not bad, all right. That's fine. I'm just saying this is like okay, literally just flips the switch, and then we do the better Gordon thing where he goes to the diner at the end with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So, sorry, I'm getting a little off track there with the Gordon stuff. So let's talk about our big plot device here. So Batman is called away on like as a common Christmas trope. He's called away on called away on business on Christmas Eve. So how do you feel about the logistics of this weather anomaly trap in Nova Scotia?
I feel like maybe they could have made it where it's like it could have been like a typically warm environment that had a weird weather anomaly, and then it got cold. I think it would have made sense for then why when Mr. Freeze shows up, he has like a Hawaiian shirt or whatever. But otherwise, I think like it's if in order to have Damien be the main guy and do what he needs to do, you gotta have to take Batman out of the picture. So, like, yeah, there has to be out. He has to be out of Gotham or killed, which the movie's not going to do, or knocked out. So at this point, so the best story decision was to have Bruce be preoccupied with other stuff, and and sort of have Damien kind of just be to his own devices.
I mean, right here's the thing. Looking back on the movie, it feels like whoever makes that call has to know that Batman's Bruce Wayne and is impersonating the Justice League. I guess specifically the Martian Manhunter. It feels like because I think kind of he's contacting the actual John Jones like over the radio later on over the comm link, but it's also like what is Batman expected to do with the weather anomaly? Like what's he, like, that's a Flash problem. That's not a
I
Batman
mean,
problem. Like what's he come on like
well, he's I mean, he's one of the smartest men in the DC universe. He could
yeah, but
probably
it's the weather though. What's he?
well, no, because there could be a device that's causing the weather anomaly, and Batman could you know,
The
uh,
Flash has a bad guy called the Weather Wizard. Okay, I don't think this is a
I
Batman
mean,
problem.
Batman has Mister Freeze and like Firefly. Like he has villains that like utilize some of the elements that can affect like the environment or temperature. Like I don't know. It's like maybe the Flash was doing other like. I just feel like we just said that like okay, Batman. Nobody else was available, and Bruce, being the dad who wants to spend time with his kids, has to unfortunately go away, and he's sad and conflicted about it because obviously he wants to spend time with his kid
Well,
because
the fact
he's
there's no Clayface in this villain group. I don't buy anyone's gonna be able to the fake Batman out by pretending to be a member of the Justice League. I don't let alone the Joker.
if Batman has a specialized suit that can mold itself to Damien's body alongside a utility belt and there's an A on the suit, I think there's someone that could create a like software or whatever that could mimic voices. We have AI voices in current regular times that like can mimic like celebrities and all that stuff and political figures. So
I mean, I guess, but I still would have liked like Joker kind of gloating with like using the AI tech or something. I don't know. This part of me feels like I don't know how that really works. Plus, how does he get the number to Wayne Manor or to the Bat phone more accurately? No, like it's not like they tied up Gordon and impersonated him or anything. Like that at least okay. If Gordon told him, but even so, like adding the Justice League component, I feels like I don't know because Justice League component is what would take him out of the city, which is what they need. So I get that, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of a small logistical quibble when you look back and again, we have to take Batman out of the equation somehow. So speaking of which, speaking of the AI, the Bat Dad protocol.
Mhm.
Love that. I love that idea. I love that. We have like the little like. I love that we build it into the bat symbol. I love that so much. It's a really cool way of just utilizing the yellow oval, and we're having to talk to him, and it's still the voice of Batman. But it's like he's connecting with his father in a way he can't really connect to the actual guy. Which, as much as I like that, it does make me think: would it have been more? Do you think it would have been more effective if the Batman that we had was a little more closed off, and then we had like the more lighthearted, overprotective version as the AI?
Not
Like,
necessarily. You would, I think, you, if anything, you would want to have, because the thing is, if you had a darker version or more standoffish, broody version of Batman, it wouldn't make sense for the AI to be suddenly weirdly chippy and overbearing. It's kind of like, you think of it this way: in like the MCU, people complain about like Ultron being super quippy and all that, but the thing is that Ultron, he is supposed to be a byproduct or a creation inadvertently of Tony Stark, and Tony Stark's personality and sense of like being is kind of within Ultron. So for the AI Bad Dad, it it should, in theory, if he has Bruce's memories, in some case, have sort of his feelings or emotional state of being.
well, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Because then also, if Bruce is more brooding in this movie, um,
Well, I'm not even saying brooding. I'm just saying like he has trouble like connecting to it. I'm not saying that he needs to be the full on brooding. It's a crime for Goth. I'm not saying he needs to be
well, if
traditional brooding
I don't
Batman.
know,
I'm saying he does.
it, it wouldn't work because the status quo of this movie is that Bruce has retired from Batman to be a full time dad to Damian. It wouldn't make sense if he's closed off or can emotionally relate to Damian. Do you get what I mean?
No, no, I get what you mean. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying like I do like the scenes that we have. But part of me wonders if it might be more impactful. Like these are the things he could never say to his son, versus the things that he kind of says to him already. Only now it's just more one on one when Damien is more receptive to hearing it.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like the movie would be drastically different.
Well, I'm not saying they needed to change that. I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, it's a thought. Okay, let's see. So, okay, the point being, after we have like the botched, we have like this Home Alone esque kind of like botched robbery of admittedly the English the thugs the English burglars essentially. I don't one again, this is where the style really gets me. I'm not crazy about the design on our robbers that we beat the crap out of. I do love how we beat the crap out of them though, and if we're gonna do Home Alone shenanigans, it would make sense with a member of the Bat family to do said Home Alone shenanigans. And I do love the payoff of okay, so while I do have trouble buying like it's a cartoony thing and it's a really kid very much kind of going for like a kid fair sort of thing here. Like okay, this guy really has the job is lost, yet he's really going for that belt. It's a buy, but it's a buy that feeds into our story because it's a symbol of the story.
I mean, like in Home Alone, like Carrie of the two bandits literally turns the faucet off at each home as a
Hmm.
calling card for them to
Yeah,
be what bandits, and that's how
yeah,
they're caught it in the movie. So like, I feel like it's par for course for these bandits to be like the fact that the one guy is just recording them doing the crimes. Like clearly, these are clearly it's supposed to be like, oh, these burglars are like trying to like, you know, do some shady stuff at Christmas. They're not up to too bright, or here it comes into like, fend them off and whatnot.
sure. Anyway, so I love Joker's reaction to little Batman here. I love the idea he gets from this footage where he sees like he's perceptive enough to see the undercurrent of Damian Wayne's darker, in this case less dark, more destructive impulses that gives him like an opening for how to make his big Christmas stealing Christmas plan work. So that's good. And it's him laughing his head off at the footage and the fascination with Batman kind of comes back a little. So all that's tradition, a little shade, light shades of Dark Knight Returns, which is kind of cool. Also, how do you feel about David Hornsby as the Joker?
Uh, I think he did pretty good.
Yeah.
Tell me if where what Damien Hornsby's done before, because I don't know if I heard his voice or have seen him in other stuff.
Well, there are two things you might know him from. One thing I suspect you might. Do you watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I've seen certain episodes.
Have you ever seen the character Cricket, like the priest turned homeless crazy guy?
I've seen of him through social media, like through memes and whatever.
Well,
But
that's him.
okay.
And also, I mean, did you ever watch the show Good Girls?
No.
Yeah, I would have been really impressed if you said yes, but no. Yeah, so yeah, he's so that's it. He's in that. He's good. I'm sure he's in other things as well. But those are the two go tos, I think, for a lot of people. Particularly, It's Always Sunny in Philly because he recurs a lot in that show.
I was gonna say like he sounded a lot like Jim Rash from Community, so it's like oh, it's kind of the same similar inflection, and all that. But he was really fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a call. He's not a person. He was not the person who jumped to mind for playing the Joker, but it does fit. Like when I heard it, like I saw his like name pop up, it's like, huh, okay, I can buy that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so appointment Joe gets planned here. He's going to basically lure the kid in his pursuit of the belt. We go to the Batcave. We suit up. We have a nice little nod to the bat suits. You'll notice we skipped over '60s Batman. I wonder why.
Um, I mean, because it's like the Golden Age suit.
Yeah, well, no, that thing is not the Golden Age suit. We have these are the media adaptations of Batman. We have the
Oh, we had the
serial. We have the
Batman series.
serials version, which is too floppy, like too baggy. Then
Okay.
we have '60s Batman, which we don't say anything about, and then we have the Batman Robin suit, which leaves little to the imagination. This now, by the way, the writer on this loved Batman and Robin, which is why we have a lot of the Schumacher nods, like like the Bane and Ivy, and the nipples and the
Like as in like he. Oh, really? He said that in an interview. Like,
yeah. He loves Batman and Robin, so that's the thing. That's why that nods in there. I suspect that's why we have a lot of the media nods to like that era of Batman with Burton and Burton with the Penguin. A lot of the Penguin stuff we do in this, and
oh yeah, because he
particularly,
makes reference to like
yeah.
his origin is like yeah. Okay, that's actually good.
So that's the thing. So the writer was really big on like the Schumacher Burton era of Batman. It feels like, but especially the Schumacher era.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, so we put him in the bat suit, and then we have the AI, which we're already going to discuss. So he goes to the mall, and I love the grappling gun built into the suit, really cool. Um, earlier, someone was bringing up. It doesn't have to be doesn't have to be Nolan logic. Nolan logic in our we don't need realistic. We don't need the same realistic logic as the Christopher Nolan films. Oddly enough, we do reference the Christopher Nolan films a little bit in here with the whole Bat Pod thing and this whole like, how are we going to find it? We have like all these. Do we have
And
like
also,
sonars
like
built into the cell phones?
Bane's design has like the specific like
Mm-hmm.
the mouthpiece from Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly. A little bit of so that's a little bit of rises, but predominantly a lot of Jeep Swanson looking Bane.
Oh yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a mixture. If you look at it, honestly, just him being paired with Ivy is a huge little Batman Robin kind of nod too of all the people Bane could have been paired with. So yeah, so Bane and Ivy as Santa and the little elf. So how did you feel with the whole 8 years have not been kind to our villains? Like they got really old in 8 years compared to that flashback.
Well, there is such a thing where if you're not real, if they were forced to retire and they didn't have much to do, like that can certainly weigh on someone's spirits, and it can be reflected very much physically.
I mean,
And I guess
Ivy's gone completely. There's not a red hair left on Ivy, and Penguin's in a rascal. I mean, come on.
well, because how old? Because they must have been like probably near the end of like their youthful periods, and probably after that, there's like okay, they're gonna look old. They're gonna go to their um, and I that's okay. There's one thing that I will say that I was kind of like a little a few question marks on. It's like, okay, what do the villains do when they were quote unquote forced to retire? Like, what does that even mean? Is it just that like, when they don't have any capabilities to like really do major crimes? They're just
It does
trying
bring about the question: why now? Why Christmas does the Joker decide to come back? I mean, there's
yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, let's just have it's a big holiday, but it's like okay, but why this? It could have been interesting if maybe like
well, like eight
probably
years. They waited 8 years to come back. That's the question.
it could have been the thing where like maybe Batman like was able to get all the criminals to like finally defeated them all by like 8 years ago on Christmas, and then they plotted to have their revenge. They just went underground, and Batman thinks they were retired, but they were actually just planning their revenge for X amount of years, and then by the 8 year mark is when they had the full resources to really wreak havoc.
But I mean, the plan is just steal Christmas, just steal the presents. It's not really like a big plan. It's just like you just go to the houses and take the presents.
Yeah, no, that like for as simple as the plan was, it's like it could have been the case where like it could have been the case that like this Batman could have just been quote unquote been both Batman and dad, but I think there's something, endearing that like Bruce really wanted to value, being a father and considering, the loss of his parents and all that stuff. Maybe he felt like he wanted to be, prominently part in Damien's life because let's say we continue on with Batman and there was concerns about his, well being. He obviously doesn't want Damien to suffer the tragedy of losing, a father figure. So probably in his mind, he felt retiring, fully stopping all crime, having God to be safe, and then retiring as Batman. He put Damien in the best place possible, better than he was in when he was like Damien's age.
Well, yeah, and that's like a huge thing we have in the movie. Like when we go to the zoo, for example, and we're going through the exhibits, we're seeing like the whole parent-child kind of like visual run of all the animals, and that's where we have the AI talk about the loneliness. That basically the whole reason for the AI is to it was seriously the AI was a really nice gesture. Is the fact that he was built so Damien, after losing Bruce, would never have to experience the loneliness he did, which is a really sweet moment that I made my
And
heart swell in this. I
it,
really
and it's kind of a neat a nod to like Jor-El and Superman lore.
yeah.
Like Jor-El, even though he's dead, like he still kind of has a presence in Superman's life by like having that AI, in holograph form that Clark gets to interact with like once in a while, like in some Superman stories.
I mean, the headcanon does make you think that maybe Batman and his friendship to Superman made him take a page from Clark's playbook on that one.
Or if you're really a big Batman fan, the answer is because he's Batman. That's how he's able to make AI. Or maybe Lucius Fox like created
Well,
something.
no, I'm not saying he used the same technique. I'm saying he got the idea from Superman. That's all.
Yeah.
Like Lucius or Bruce or whoever still builds that. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just
I
kind of
mean,
like a
go
nice
through.
symbol of their friendship that he took a page out of Clark's book on, like, hey, maybe I should. That's a really nice thing that my friend, who has had a much happier, go luckier existence than I had in his corner, maybe I should do that for my kid.
Hmm.
And he crams all the life lessons in there. And you buy Batman would cram all the life lessons in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's really nice there, just that moment between the two of them. And then we have we're at the Penguin exhibit, which then we have the elderly Penguin fight.
Hmm.
We get the moral here. We're so we have like the moral here about the flirt kind of floating around here where it's like the real hero makes sacrifices and sacrifices what they want for the greater good, and Damien he wants that belt, and of course in pursuing his belt he causes a lot of holiday damage. He's like ruining the parade and the tree and everything, and he's again not intentionally but in his pursuit of this very selfish desire of I want my belt back. He's endangering people, which again is the undercurrent of like the Damian Wayne not really earning the Batman mantle yet, which he does by the end of this.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I like that we have Alfred to put a really fine point on here. Alfred kind of coming at the low lows moment there, where Damien's kind of seeing the consequences of his action. However, missed opportunity, given that he is at the top of this movie. The woodcut black and white, kind of scared Damien sequence that really should have been the Scarecrow's doing, right? Because it just feels a little random. Everyone's eyes turn red and then they go after him. I kept thinking, okay, that's the Scarecrow, when it never was the Scarecrow.
Or it could have been one of the villains actually approaching, finding, Damien and like approaching him or stalking
So,
him throughout.
I mean, I get, I don't really know what correlation that has, but I mean, I'm just saying everyone's eyes randomly turn red and then they go after them. It feels like they're affected by something, and they usually would be like fear toxin. Yeah.
Yeah, like sequence could have been better, like contextualized, where it's like,
It's just purely aesthetic, and it's a nice aesthetic, but it just comes out of nowhere.
yeah, no, honestly, it could have fit as like a dream sequence.
Yeah.
especially when he's knocked out, like when he opens the Christmas card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we it's thing that happens. We do that before that, unfortunately. So yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of which, so Alfred he shows up right when the kid needs him most. Gives him the. Here's the. I was wondering. I kept initially I called BS and like, I'll be back before it cools. Like, where he leaves and like Alfred, how long does it take to get marshmallows?
He's an elderly British man.
I know he's an elderly British man. So that's what I said initially. He was, he's an elderly British man. He's going all the way out there. But then this is this charming payoff. Like, he had the thermos.
Yeah.
That's how he can make sure it's warm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Good on you, Alfred. I love how he's like really like, you lost the bat pod.
I kind of wish it got brought back. Like maybe if not Damien, like Bruce was writing the Bad Pod, and that's how he like comes in into the candy cane place.
Yeah. I mean that'd be neat, but we knew he was on his way back with like the bat plane or He had to get from Nova Scotia somehow.
True.
Let's see. Also, really, kind of glazed over it. The big Jor-El, like from Superman, the Donner cut of Superman 2 sacrifice moment of Bat Dad. That was a big highlight for me though. Where Damian is essentially alone for Act 3 before Batman. Kind of we reward his sacrifice of Batman later.
Hmm.
But just the moment of Damian. Damien realizes his actions have kind of caused him to lose the AI, which he had bonded with, and the AI like sacrificed himself to blow up the suit so he cushion his fall and everything. That was it's a really good moment, really reminiscent of the whole like I anticipated you would disobey my orders, and this is what happens, kind of like from Superman 2.
Hmm.
All right, so let's see, so. Yes, Joker's trapped with the floating greeting card, which brings him to the villain's Christmas party at Jolly Jack Candy Factory, which is a Batman Beyond Return of the Joker reference.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
Not just that, also remember that's kind of a double reference too. It's Return of the Joker, also Jolly Jack reference to Jack the King Kirby.
Hmm.
And in general, though, just kind of Joker trying to sway the kid to his side, in a sense, kind of luring, Batman's son to the dark side of villainy. Kind of, again, a lot of shades of Return of the Joker in that.
Yeah, it would have been very on the nose if Mark Hamill was voicing the Joker in this.
Yeah, but he's he actually has retired from that role now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have I gotta be honest. This Christmas party reminded me a little of the moment from the Arkham Asylum game where Batman's like welcome to the big party at the end, like right before the final boss battle, and everyone's like clapping for him and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little reminiscent of that. So yeah, so they're grateful little Batman has distracted everyone so they could steal the rogues. He and the rogues could steal Christmas. And yeah, we have our big moral there, where Damien realizes the error in his selfish ways, and that no, it means he's not a hero, and then he kind of puts him in the anti-hero kind of kind of quality there, where he blows everyone up.
Hmm.
Yep. And yeah, he's taking them all on single-handedly, which is quite the undertaking, and especially since he really doesn't have like the power to punch these guys. But he's getting the hang of it though. He's doing really well for himself, and right when things are looking desperate, the real Bat Dad returns.
Yeah. And Damien, like his dad, he has a very high pain threshold. Like God, the amount of like hits and just like hard landings he gets in this movie. Like man,
Well,
Damien
if
is
he
about
doesn't get up, it's child endangerment. We can't really hurt this kid. It's like a bylaw, you know.
that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what are we gonna do? Oh my God, they put this kid in the hospital, bashed his head in. Like, look at all this trauma.
Have Damien look like Glenn in Walking Dead after Negan.
Yeah. Oh, what did I do to my boy? Oh God. Kirkman, you sick man. Oh God. Anyway, so we have father son team up here, and I got to admit, on the rewatch, I mean, I liked in the first watch of the rewatch here. This scene, I think, really popped for me here.
Mhm.
This moment of of Batman being overprotective during the battle, and the villains kind of know they have him here, where like he's stepping in right now, and it leads him taking a brunt of the damage, though. So it's like a nice little weakness we've given Batman in the staging of the action here. And also, I love the whole Joker Batman dynamic and the friendship there. Like, you never told me I had a kid. I thought we were friends. We're not friends. So, like, I like the beard though. It ups your intimidation, ups your intimidation game.
Yeah.
Of course, he's looking for beard compliments, which I wonder if the beard thing might be a slight reference to the Justice League. Not the Cavill thing. I'm saying Batman did have a beard in like one of the cuts of that movie. Or, well, I mean, he had a beard, and then we kind of shaved it off, and anyway. I forget which cut, because I know the Whedon cut made like a deal about it, but then we kind of randomly there's a weird continuity thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but how do you? I guess in general though, I think the beard might have been like almost an 11th hour thing. By the way, because you look at the marketing and everything, is Batman without the beard, and yet in the film it seems like a big plot point that he has the beard. And if you look at some of the concept art, is Batman without the beard. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the beard is an interesting look. I think the beard works because the Bruce Wayne or Batman in this movie has like such a large chin, so the
Mm-hmm.
beard is much more accentuated than if it was a regular chin.
What do you think though? Do you think it was like maybe like an afterthought sort of thing? Like we should add something to really kind of make a divide between Batman in the past and kind of Batman now, and kind of we need if we wanted to soften the Batman look, we should give him a beard. Or do you think that was like just something that was very much in the story?
I guess it was. I think it was very much in the story, right? Because like I think in the first image that was revealed, like Bruce Wayne had like that was revealed in this movie, like the Bruce in the movie had a beard right from the get go in that image. So I think it was just always from the story, and I think marketing. I think I think for people that do marketing for movies, they probably just have like more standard like marketing materials don't necessarily match with like the actual product.
Yeah. All right, a few comments I want to highlight here from Code Geass. Code Geass says, is the 8 years thing a reference to Dark Knight Rises? Yes. Well, I'm pretty sure. That means that's an awfully specific number. They didn't just say 10 years. Plus, they want Damon to be 8 years old. So, I mean, it could just be
I,
that, but I'm thinking
I
it's
mean,
right. It has to be.
I figure the 8 years things because when Damien's born to 8 years
Mm.
later, he's the same age that Bruce is when he lost his parents.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think it's like, yes, there's some coincidence there, but given all the other references we have, I'm saying I think that one might have been like a happy accident, but I don't think a reference that was lost on the writers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. R.I.P. Jeep Swanson. He passed away shortly after playing a Batman villain like Heath Ledger did. So, that's the thing. Jeep Swanson does deserve some respect because he does kind of because of the infamy of that film. Bane does get especially how we service Bane in that film. He gets a little tossed under the rug, but hey, we physically realized a Bane, and he did look really cool in the outfit.
Yeah, like for that movie, like really, none of the actors do necessarily a bad job. Well, maybe Alicia Silverstone
Yeah.
and Arnold Schwarzenegger to a certain
Okay,
extent.
Schwarzenegger could have done really good in that movie, but because we saw a
Um,
moment of like potential in that, but we saw
I,
that flashback too. The video, the wedding video, actually showed promise with that
I
character.
also have the opinion that George Clooney could have done a better job. It could have been a cool
Yeah,
Batman Bruce Wayne, but I think, but I think that the writing was such a level that I feel like for anyone acting in the movie, they weren't given much motivation to put in their A game because I don't think their A game would have given this movie like even like a passable grade.
I look, Batman and Robin was well cast. All right, Batman and Robin was well cast and could have worked, but we needed better material for those actors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's anyway. So let's see. So again, it's father and son. They he kind of sees after he takes like a giant mallet to the head that he really notes like, man, that mallet really hurt. It's like hit me in the head with that mallet like just a little while ago, Damien. It didn't tickle. He kind of sees his son actually can take care of himself, and that is my kid. And gives him the actual, takes the training wheels off, gives him the real belt, and they're fighting together. Like throwing real batarangs. And by the way, pet peeve, not really a complaint, but it's always something I think the best. It's always a great moment where we actually use the batarangs the way they're intended to be used, in which you throw the batarang and it works like a boomerang and it comes back. And we did that here, and it takes out the Joker in a really spectacular fashion. Like, yes, use the
Mhm.
batarangs fully to the instead of just like the shurikens, like we're throwing them and they come back.
Yeah, I mean that's always kind of inconsistent in Batman like media in general, right? Because it's
I mean,
like
you can use them both ways, but get once in a while, use it like a boomerang. All right?
have it be like a boomerang that also cuts like a shuriken. So it's like,
Yeah.
although that would kind of be a little bit, oof, that'd be a little rough to see. Uh,
Well, here, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
this. I'm trying to remember. I forget if in there was that Lovers and Madmen thing, like the realistic take on, like the then realistic take on the Joker, the whole thing where he falls in the vat of antidepressants. Did you ever read that one?
no. Oh, the James Mattis story going sane.
Well, that's um, hmm. That I know you're talking about, but it's not that one. It's a different one. I forget. I'm trying to remember who. Dennis Cowan did the art on it. I don't know who. I don't remember offhand who wrote that story, but it's called Lovers and Madmen. It was kind of like an update on the Joker origin, where you had like you saw like I forget if Napier was not Napier. We later have now named him Napier like the '89 film, but the point being, Joker was a guy I think in the middle of a bank robbery, and he had like he looks absolutely had this moment with Batman. And then later on, he basically I bring it up because I think there's a moment there because we cut the smile on his face with batarangs, and I forget if that's we threw the batarang and it went around him and then came back, and that's how we gave him the smile. I don't think that's I think Batman just like literally cut him on the face with it. I think that's what happened in that story, but I'd have to go back and
Yeah,
check. Yeah,
it.
go
I
and
always
yeah, Jacob's right. Going insane is
yeah
well, at least one of the going. There's a
yeah going.
couple. Yeah, going insane is the one where I believe that's he thinks Batman's dead.
No, yeah. I just realized for Joker's design, it's interesting that you go with the flashbacks and for the current looks. Like the flashback, it's like Joker looks like DCAU Joker, and in the modern day, he looks kind of like a more like ruffled up version of Heath Ledger Joker.
I mean, I guess that's yeah. But we have like the longer hair. It's
Yeah.
yeah. It's I think there's might be he looks a little. I think we leaned into like the a bit of the blue meanie look with the Joker, which again is kind of obviously we have a little bit of that with even the DCAU Joker with the teeth and the smile and everything. But I don't know. It feels I think there's a little bit of a sort there's a little bit of like a yellow submarine mixed with a Heath Ledger kind of look, if that makes any sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kogia says I think that the art style has a creative style. Yeah, I mean, look, I respect what they were going for with the art style is the fact that okay, we're going with a very distinct look that is well known in many artistic communities with with this like basically essentially a New Yorker esque artist like we have like a satirist of an artist with the Searle with the Ronald Searle style.
Hmm.
It's I mean, I can respect where they're going. I just don't know if it animates well. That's the thing. It looks more like a stationary, as we see in the credits. Like we see like the images. It looks like really good in stills. I just don't know how well it animates. I mean, the action. I think the action in our third act looks really. I think it animates in action well, but it
Hmm.
just I don't know I think if you look at it too long and you think about it too long, I was like I don't know how I feel about that. But I don't know. It's like a little bit of that. Then you think back to like some of the Tim Burton designs on like Nightmare Before Christmas, where he has like it shares some similarities with like the little feet, the little hands, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, so we defeat the Joker, throw everyone like these vats of it's a candy factory, so we throw everyone in vats. Batman pointing out like how many times is he gonna fall in those vats? He should carry a snorkel in his suit pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Batman, both Batmen, or little and large Batman, they return the gifts, very much like the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas,
Hmm.
and they have a hug, which is really nice. Even the old butler, and then the cat that is named after Batman's ex.
Hmm.
uh, they get in on the action. I love how we call out the bit with Talia, though. We're like, you should really hang out with the Joker. He's alone around the holidays too. It's like, but he's my enemy. He's a super villain. Like, so is mom. Well, she's complicated.
A complicated supervillain.
Yeah, I love love the complicated gag with Talia. It's like, yes, she is. I get it. That's the thing I'm really looking forward to seeing how they approach in that series. Like, we're gonna
Mhm.
get like the complicated. We're gonna see Talia and how that family dynamic works.
Have Talia and Batman uh, go to like a parent teachers conference.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. I want that so badly. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So there's it's nice that we even had a little bit of this in Christmas with the Joker, where it's like an offhanded line, but Joker has no family, so he's alone around the holidays, which fed into what his plan was during that. So it's it's feeding the whole thing of like Batman and Joker are like infinitely linked. Like these characters are very much like they are both sides of that coin. So they kind of need each other around the holidays as well. So the fact they share like this holiday meal, like this diner with with like Gordon. I like that we have Gordon there, and that might be a little bit of a nod. I think it's a nod to two things. One, I think it's primarily a nod to Holiday Nights, which of course is the all-time best Batman Gordon moment ever.
Mhm.
You know, primarily that, maybe a little bit. There's one of the things I will say in the benefit of the Teen Titans Go and everything is I do love the runner Batman Gordon are pals and they
Mhm.
hang out and they do stuff together. In that respect, I think we're kind of homaging that a little. I think it's a little bit of the right. Well, I mean, we're gonna have Gordon in the movie and kind of like a brief gag. I mean, might as well bring him back at the end if we can because logically he would be there. So let's do that. And we have Alfred, in retrospect, should not be there, but that's a more cartoon logic. I don't think anyone's really going to question at this point.
Yeah.
So they're all there, they're all having a meal, and then they're singing the iconic song, which that feels man day. Like we have to get Jingle Bells, Batman Smells in there, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, and this is like having a dinner with friends. We're not friends. Boom. And yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah, so I think overall this is kind of a fun movie to watch. Not just like for I think for Batman fans too, it's kind of just a fun time, and I think also it's a kind of like especially if you have like younger kids, or like even nieces or nephews. Like I think they also like this is like a fun family movie to watch. For those that are Batman inclined or comic book inclined.
Yeah, that's a thing. Sorry. Yes, I can agree with what you said there, Rohit. Now, this thing, I like to think people are going to enjoy this, especially I think kids are going to love it because they're going to see themselves in the bat suit, and it's kind of like a reinvention of kind of the thing the thing that Robin was invented for in the first place. Kids might not be able to see themselves as Batman, but they can see themselves as Robin.
Hmm.
In this case, they could see themselves as a little Batman, as like a Batman waiting in the wings, eager
Yeah.
enthusiasm, and you get the full costume and the gadgets and the toys and everything. So it's kind of a win-win in that regard. So I think kids are really going to like this, and I think it's foolish of Warner Brothers not to not to hang on to this thing. I mean, that was their own. It was their own stupid fault in that one. They're going to have to live with that one, especially if this takes off and the show goes over well. So
Hmm.
let's face right now, until that Cape Crusader show comes out, people are hard up for Batman Entertainment right now. Right now, all we got is the Bat Wheels thing, not counting like the regular DC animated original movies and stuff. I'm talking about like kid fare with Batman right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like overall, again, the more I think on this, I find things I really like about it on the rewatch, and I think in discussing it as well. I think the art style just kind of has to grow on me. The art style was always like ever since this thing was revealed. There was this image, and I heard like, hey, a few Batman projects are heading here and there, and it's like, okay, that's I saw like one image, which essentially is like when he gets the call on the Bat phone. We see him, Alfred, and Damien. And I was
Hmm.
thinking, oh boy, I hope that's like not the main one they were talking about, but like, yep, that was it. And it's like, oh boy, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about that being animated. And well, it's again, I think there's a really good story at the heart of this, and it does have enjoyable moments, and again, it goes to show Batman can be interpreted in a myriad of ways, and at least this still in most of those ways you can kind of see like how like the core of the character is represented. Like we don't skirt around the loss, like the loss is there, but we're seeing it in a positive way of Batman moving on. Like we have a moment where Batman's giving out balloon animals, in this movie. We see how he's cleaned up Gotham. So we're seeing things in Batman we haven't necessarily seen before. That like things like Lego Batman is going to pave the way for us getting. Like we got to reinvent it after decades. To keep it fresh. And this is one of the ways in which we keep it fresh. And hey, it's a holiday piece.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'd like to take a moment. Well, first off, I want to take a moment to thank our friends for joining us here, like Code Geass Anime Fan and Richard's Victims. And I just want to make sure I don't miss him here because I think he showed up for a bit. But Little Blue, right there. There you go, Little Blue. Yes, I want to thank you guys for joining us in our conversation. Loved having you. So we're gonna peek beneath the wrapping paper. Just a little tease at what we're doing next. I'm seeing I'm unfurling the paper as we speak, and oh man, it smells like peppermint. It's oh wow, it's another Amazon thing. Go figure. Take that, Warner's. I guess right now, but it's oh hey, look at what we have here. Candy canes. Sounds like Eddie Murphy. I think it's Candyland. No, it's not Candyland. I think it's doesn't sound like a board game. Sounds like an intricate display, lights and display contest of some kind. I'm thinking it's Candy Cane Lane. I think that's what our next. I think that's what our next shenanigans are gonna be. Looking forward to it.
Hmm.
All right, folks. Time to dash away, dash away, dash away all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time.
For even more seasonal shenanigans.
Fa la la
La
la
la
la
la
la la
la
la
la la.
la. Little Batman.